Hi, my name is Nick Lossiter, and I'm recording this video talking about Module 5 and talking about some of the questions that you asked us to talk about. So question number 1, what is your overall impression of the materials in the module? So honestly, when I saw that we were going to be learning about the flipped classroom and I saw a little bit about what the flipped classroom was, I was not thinking that I would like it, to be honest. But by the end of it, I was more or less a convert. Um, and it was just essentially, if you can take away so much time that you're just talking at students and rather work with them and help them with what they need help with, why wouldn't you do that in some form or another? Um, you can take it as far as you want, certainly. Um, just to be broad at the moment with the question, I enjoyed it. You changed my mind. You converted me a little bit, so thank you for that. Um, and I found, especially the Byron example, the Byron, Minnesota example, to be really informative because they were a school that is pretty similar to a school that I've been working in. So I took that example to heart. So just question 1 was kind of an overview. So question 2, what did you find the most insightful? Oh, so I kind of already brought it up a little bit, but it was Byron, the Byron example. Um, to have that video of a teacher talking specifically about what worked, mostly what worked, a couple things that needed to be adjusted, was really insightful and I think probably what sold it the most for me. Because here was a school in Minnesota, smaller community, dealing with budget crisis, like a lot of schools are. A lot of schools are dealing with things like that, and they had an inventive approach towards it, and about how they solved it. And so that was a great example, and to see how well, especially how well it worked and how positive the results have been in just about every capacity. So specifically, that was the most helpful one, and the one that stuck with me the most was the Byron, Minnesota example. So let's see, 3 reasons to support the flipped classroom. I thought number 1, I sort of already mentioned it, but the student interaction. I think. Sorry, my cats are kind of playing with stuff over on the table there. So that's what that noise is over there. Yeah, so student interaction, I think that anytime you can interact more with students, again, why wouldn't you do that? Because talking at students, or even just talking at people, so much information is just lost, or you get it for a little bit and then it goes after the test. But if you can take that time away from the classroom and rather make the classroom about interactions, I think that's exactly what teachers should be doing. So, number 1 thought and support. And then my second reason to support was the test scores, and this was the Byron example. And so I'm glad that they showed specific data from their school. And I like that he didn't sugarcoat it either, but he showed a number of graphs where it was essentially, here's where the regular testing was, with regular intervals, and here is where it was with the flipped classroom. So it wasn't significantly different. It wasn't, like this is the answer to everything, but it was, tests are definitely better. Student interaction is better. Students are more positive about class. So why wouldn't you do that? And it was pretty consistent across a lot of different measurements. So the data helped convince me. So I thought that was a good support. And the third one, I thought the eliminating homework tagline, I think is pretty important, especially when you're trying to sell it to students. When you talk to anybody about, oh, we're going to try something new, you kind of have to think about, well, how can I sell this to them? How is it going to benefit them? And I think, um, telling a student like, hey, you don't have homework anymore in the same way, I think that'd be really beneficial. Of course, you have a little bit of homework because you have to watch videos, but it's definitely a different type of homework. So I thought that was kind of my third reason to support it. However, this kind of leads into the criticism or critique for flipping classrooms, and there's the technology divide. It's the first one that comes to mind. And I'm sure we deal with that a little bit with this class that you're teaching us. It's online, and we're dealing with technology, and it's a learning experience for everybody, certainly. But you have to have the technology to be able to participate. Here I am, I'm on my Mac computer using iMovie, but not everybody has that software. So there's a definite technological divide, and that would be a possible barrier to have to overcome. Another one would be getting parents and school administration on board. The Byron example is a seemingly unique example in that the school completely went flipped, and I doubt that most schools would do that, at least right away. So I think, telling parents like, so we're doing something a little bit different. We want classes to be more interactive, so some of their lectures are going to be on the computer, and maybe parents will be like, well, what are you doing as a teacher then? Like, if they're watching this at home, what's your job? And so I think like communicating exactly the philosophy and what it is that my job is, and that I can be a better teacher, in fact, by interacting with the students, working with them on what they're working with rather than just talking at them. And I think with administrators, their concern is making sure the parents are happy, and making sure that you're doing your job as a teacher. So I think communicating what you want to do and how you're going to do it, I think would be imperative to get everybody kind of on board, to almost over communicate what it is that you're trying to do. But that would be a possible barrier. And my third critique, added prep time. One thing that I've heard from a lot of teachers already is that they, it's kind of the overworked and underpaid mantra. They already have so much work to do, and so then to say, well, you need to plan all of your lessons for the next year, and upload how many 100 videos or whatnot. If you're doing it every single day, it'd be 100, 200 videos, right? And then the software, being familiar with the teacher, being familiar with the software, and being able to do that. And then, if you're spending that much time on it, are you getting paid to do that? So I think that could definitely be a possible barrier to it happening. Let's see, question number 5, rather. So what are the tech tools you will need? So you obviously need, fairly sophisticated computer that has good recording software, and a good camera. You'd also need to not be sitting on your couch in your living room as I am now, but you need to be standing and doing it in a bit more of a lecture format. So you need the technology, you need the software to upload that video to. Are you going to do it to YouTube? Are you going to do it to, what was it, Moodle? that they were using for the Byron School. So you need access to those various things, and then of course you need the teacher to be technology literate enough to be able to do that. So a couple and then of course on the student end of it, they would need to be able to access those videos at home. So whether they have a family PC, or as an example, in the school that I work at, they all have Chromebooks. So maybe they would be able to watch those videos then on their school given Chromebooks at home. So that could be a good solution. And then question number 6, there's the perception that there's, the perception of a connection or a lack of connection about the theory of the flipped classroom and then the actual implementation of the flipped classroom. So I think I sort of already talked about a few of those things, but in theory, you take away the talking at students so that you can spend that time in class working with them on whatever they need to work with on their specific problems, working together. I think one issue that could arise is, what if the students don't watch the videos? I'm sure that would happen. And I know they address that in the readings. And one of the suggestions was, well, if they don't do the readings, or the videos rather, then they would watch it in class while everybody else is working on the project together. And that would work, but then, the student is missing out on the whole point of it. They're missing out on the interaction part of it. Hopefully they would then catch up after that. But then at least, the teacher would see them and would be able to interact with them about, making sure that they would watch the videos in the future. So, and I think, again, I sort of just over communicating, because I think if parents didn't know exactly what was going on and what the plan was, maybe they would be a little cynical about it and be like, well, why is my kid forced to watch these lectures? Like, what is this teacher doing? Is this teacher even doing their job? Like, they have to watch this. My kid has to watch these lectures at home, and then they go to school to do what? Like, are they just hanging out? Are they actually working? So unless there's communication about what actually is happening, and then being able to show the parent, like, this is what we've been working on in class. These are the benefits of the flipped classroom. I think that parents could be a little bit, not thrilled about it. Otherwise, just anytime you try to do something new, it can be difficult to get everybody to buy in, to be sure. But making sure that you're clear with what the goal is, and then communicating that goal, and then showing, just like how the teacher in Byron did, showing the data of, here's where your kids were before. When we flipped the classroom, here they are now. We need to keep doing this because, we want to get up here eventually. So I think being able to show those really concrete examples and being able to show projects online to parents and administrators is also important. So just to kind of sum up again, flipped classroom, I did not think that I would like it coming into this module, and you won me over. So thank you.